The story of the prodigal son is meant to remind us of at least two things. First, that the Lord is always willing to forgive. And secondly, that we are challenged, or invited at least, to imitate the Lord's willingness to forgive us by offering forgiveness to others. Let's look at each in turn. While it may seem obvious to you that God is always willing to forgive, it's far from obvious to some people. And so the story of the prodigal son is first and foremost a story of the forgiving father. According to the custom of the day, it was possible for the father to give to his sons a portion of his inheritance. But it was also the custom that the son would not spend it as long as the father was alive, because the father might need the support of the son in his old age. As we know from the story, the son spent it all and was in such dire straits that he thought, even the servants in my father's house are being treated better than I am. I'll go back and simply ask to be a servant. And if the father had disowned him and had given him nothing, people would not have been shocked, because the son had broken the agreement. But as we know, the whole story is that the father goes out and welcomes the son back with open arms and has a big party for him, because the son that was lost was found. The same is true for you and me. Sometimes we sin, sometimes grievously. We turn away from God, and at times the feeling is that I really can't go back. The story says, yes, you can always go home again. The Father's arms are open in a welcoming gesture. Sometimes the problem is not thinking that it would be difficult for God to forgive us, but rather we live in the illusion that there is nothing that we need forgiveness for, that we don't sin. I recall a few years ago hearing confessions of second graders for the first time. And this one little boy sat in front of me and looked me in the eye and said, I really shouldn't be here. I said, no. He said, no, my sister should be here. She's the one that does all the bad things. And I said, well, how old is your sister? He said, she's 5. So it starts early, where we can recognize the sin in the other. But God forbid that I should admit the sin that is in with me. Next Friday and Saturday, we're participating in a diocesan effort to offer extra hours for the sacrament of reconciliation. It takes its title from the second reading, where the ministry is to be reconciled to God. So on Friday night from 6 to 8, and Saturday from 11 to 1 and 2 to 3:30, someone will be here hearing confessions. Father David Federici is going to be helping me with some of those hours. But it's key to remember that that opportunity is available in just about every other church in the diocese. There is a schedule posted on either of the bulletin boards, and if you are going to go to another church, which would be fine, maybe you should call ahead of time to see if they have adjusted the hours a bit. The other aspect of today's gospel, as I mentioned, is the expectation that we need to be ready and willing to forgive others. To be sure, we may be justified in our anger, our sadness that another has done us evil. Forgiveness is not an invitation for the other to continue in his or her evil ways, but it is the ability that I have to bring some control to the situation. and not to allow my understandable feelings to control who I am as a person. Not to forgive is allowing the perpetrator of my hurt to continue to have control over me. It's been said that the one who forgives ends the quarrel. As you and I continue our Lenten journey, we are thus invited today to do two things. Recall the ever willingness of the Lord to forgive me, and if necessary, to seek that forgiveness in the sacrament of reconciliation. And secondly, to ask God to give us the grace that we might be able to reach out in forgiveness to another. As is often the case, easier said than done.